When we think about changing our lives, we often wait for something big to happen, a decisive choice, a sharp turn, a moment that makes everything instantly different. But if we calm the mind and stay long enough, we begin to see a very different truth. Life rarely transforms because of a single moment. It transforms because of small causes that are planted consistently each day. In the teachings of the Buddha, no change happens outside of cause and condition. Every action, every thought, every habit, no matter how small, is a seed, and it is these quiet seeds that are shaping the direction of our inner life right now. We often overlook small things because they do not bring immediate results. But like drops of water falling one by one, a pot does not fill in a single day. It fills through silent patience. The Buddha taught that little by little, the mind is nourished and gradually comes to rest. Not through great effort, but through steady awareness. Then one day, when we look back, we realize we are standing in a very different place. Lighter in the heart, less resistant to life, more at peace with ourselves. So what would happen if life could gently change direction through 10 small daily habits? Without forcing, without becoming someone else. Simply returning, slowing down, and planting very small wholesome seeds. Right here, in this very life. Lesson 1. Begin the day with one conscious breath. When a new day begins, most of us open our eyes in a rush. The mind immediately runs toward tasks to be done, unfinished matters, familiar worries. The body has just awakened, yet the mind has already traveled far away. According to the teachings of the Buddha, transformation does not begin by fixing an entire life. It begins by returning to the present moment, and the breath is the closest doorway back. A morning breath is not meant to create anything special. It does not make life instantly better. It simply helps us stay with the body, resting on the bed, stay with the breath as it moves in and out. When we breathe in and know we are breathing in, breathe out and know we are breathing out, the mind begins to find an anchor. In the Anapanasati teachings, the Buddha explained that when we breathe in, we calm the body and the mind. When we breathe out, we allow tension to be released. The small habit here is very simple. Before reaching for the phone, before getting out of bed, take 3 full breaths. There is no need to change the rhythm of breathing, no need to control it. Just notice. Those 3 breaths are like a very gentle pause, yet strong enough to interrupt the familiar stream of automatic reactions. Instead of being pulled away from the very start of the day, we choose to stop in mindfulness. The reason a single breath can change the direction of an entire life is because it changes how we begin. When the day starts in awareness, the rest of the day also has a chance to unfold more slowly. As we become familiar with returning to the breath, we react less automatically. We are no longer immediately swept away by emotions as they arise. We gain a small inner space to choose how to live. In Buddhism, karma is not created only through major actions, but through tendencies repeated each day. Each morning breath taken in awareness is a wholesome seed being planted. That seed is small, yet steady. Over time, we stop living as someone constantly chasing thoughts. We begin to live as someone who is present, and from that presence, peace quietly begins to grow. Lesson 2. Gently nourish the mind. Each day, before we even realize it, the mind has already consumed many things. It consumes news, comparison, fear, and stories that have never actually happened. Just as the body needs food to survive, the mind also needs nourishment to function. According to the Buddha's teachings, whatever we repeatedly come into contact with becomes a quiet current that guides our thoughts, emotions, and the way we see the world. Many people want to change their lives, yet forget to care for the quality of their mental nourishment. Each morning, as soon as we open our eyes, we allow the mind to drift into screens, endless streams of information, and unconscious judgment. When the mind continually absorbs stressful content, it gradually becomes uneasy, defensive, and hardened without us even noticing. These signs appear very slowly, very subtly, and are often overlooked day after day. The Buddha taught that the mind leads all phenomena. The mind governs and creates. What we repeatedly think becomes the person we are living as. When we nourish the mind with mindfulness, understanding, and compassion, we are quietly planting wholesome seeds for the future. This is not a theory, but a process that unfolds each day. It is gentle and non-forcing, yet its influence is deep and long-lasting. The small habit for this lesson is to spend 10 minutes each day feeding the mind with wholesome nourishment. This may be reading a short passage of scripture, a page from a mindfulness book, or listening to a teaching that helps the mind settle. Those 10 minutes do not take time away from your life, yet they change the direction of the entire day. When the mind is nourished properly, thoughts and reactions naturally soften. Accumulation happens quietly. Day after day, when the mind is exposed to gentleness, it gradually becomes gentler. We grow less impatient, less judgmental, and less driven by fear. This is the power of mindful repetition, where small changes lead to a more peaceful way of living, not through great effort, but through steady daily practice in deep stillness. When we consciously choose our mental nourishment each day, we are practicing inner freedom. We no longer allow the outside world to completely determine our inner state. From this small choice, the mind slowly becomes kinder, clearer, and strong enough to continue the long path of transformation. This is how peace is nurtured from the root, in alignment with the Buddha's teachings and a slower way of living. Lesson 3. Writing to see the mind clearly. In daily life, our mind is like a lake. When it is undisturbed, the water is clear and reflects everything accurately. But it only takes a small wind of worry, a pebble of memory, or a wave of unrecognized emotion for the surface to become cloudy. We no longer see clearly what is happening inside us. We are simply carried away by those movements. According to the teachings of the Buddha, suffering does not arise only from circumstances, but from not seeing the mind clearly. When there is no observation, the mind leads us along old habits, old reactions, old patterns of thinking. Writing is a very simple way to stop and look inward, not to analyze or judge, but to recognize what is present. When we put pen to paper, thoughts that were once vague begin to take shape. Like sediment settling at the bottom of a lake, the water gradually becomes clearer. Writing does not make problems disappear, but it helps us see them more clearly. And once something is clearly seen, its weight naturally lessens. In Buddhism, observing the mind is an essential part of practice. When we see what we are thinking and what state of mind we are carrying, we no longer completely identify with it. The Buddha taught that a person is shaped by the thoughts they nurture each day. Therefore, recognizing our thoughts is also recognizing the path we are walking. The small habit for this lesson is to spend a few minutes each evening writing 3 short lines. There is no need for beautiful words or perfect sentences. Simply answer honestly the question of how the mind was today. Was there peace? Was there tension? Was there something that made the heart feel heavy? After writing, there is no need to edit or draw conclusions. This practice gradually helps us step out of unconscious mental streams. We begin to see that thoughts are just thoughts, and emotions are just emotions. They arise and they pass. When this habit is maintained consistently, the mind becomes clearer and less easily pulled away. From this clarity, we learn to live more slowly, more gently, and with greater freedom each day. Over time, writing becomes a safe space to return to. In that space, we do not need to appear strong or perfect. We only need to be honest with ourselves. That honesty, according to the Buddha's teachings, is the foundation for understanding and lasting transformation in everyday life. Lesson 4. Setting intention. Instead of creating pressure. After learning how to calm the mind and clearly see what is happening within, the next step is to give direction to our daily life. Many people are used to starting the day with heavy goals. I must finish this task. I must achieve that result. I must be better than yesterday. But in the spirit of Buddhism, practice does not begin with pressure. It begins with right intention, with a way of living chosen through awareness, not through fear. The Buddha did not teach people to chase achievements. He taught them to understand the path they are walking. In the Noble Eightfold Path, right intention is the foundation that guides all actions and speech. When intention is upright, the path naturally opens. When intention arises from craving or anxiety, even if results are achieved, the mind remains unsettled. We often set goals based on what we believe we lack. Lack of money, lack of recognition, lack of security. As a result, each day becomes an invisible race. But when we pause and ask a very different question, the rhythm of life begins to change. How do I want to live today? More slowly or more clearly? More kindly or more steadily? This question does not demand a perfect answer. It only asks for honesty. Intention does not force the future to unfold according to our wishes. It simply reminds us how we want to be present in each moment. When intention is set at the beginning of the day, it is like a small lamp. That lamp does not illuminate the entire long road, but it is enough to show the next step. And as the Buddha taught, it is right intention that leads the path of practice. The small habit for this lesson is to choose one intention each morning, not a long list of tasks to complete, but a single quality you wish to cultivate. It may be calmness, it may be listening, it may be patience. Just one intention, so the mind has a place to return when it is pulled away. With consistent practice, the difference becomes very clear. Life is no longer a series of tasks to be completed, but a conscious process of living. We still work and face challenges, yet we no longer create additional pressure for ourselves. Each day is not lived to prove our worth, but to live in alignment with the direction we have chosen. Over time, setting intention helps the mind become more stable. We are less easily swept away by external expectations. We live more slowly, yet more deeply. And from this way of living with right intention, the path of transformation opens naturally, gently, and sustainably. Lesson 5. Moving the body with awareness. When it comes to caring for ourselves, many people immediately think of physical exercise. Yet in daily life, movement often happens in haste and without presence. The body is walking, but the mind is far away. According to the Buddha's teachings, body and mind are not separate. When the body is unsettled, the mind cannot easily rest. And when the mind is disturbed, the body carries tension that we may not even notice. Transformation does not have to begin with intense workouts or physical goals. It can begin by bringing awareness back to each small movement. Walking meditation is a very simple practice, yet it has the power to bring body and mind back to the same place. When we walk and know that we are walking, each step becomes an opportunity to pause and touch the present moment. In this practice, we are not walking to arrive anywhere. We walk to feel the feet touching the ground, to feel the movement of the body, to feel the breath moving along with each step. When attention rests on these small details, the mind gradually stops wandering. Rushed thoughts settle. The body begins to relax naturally. The Buddha taught that walking meditation is meditation itself. No special posture is required. No perfectly quiet space is needed. All that is needed is walking with full presence. When the body moves with awareness, blocked energy is slowly released. We are not only strengthening the body, but also cultivating inner stability. The small habit for this lesson is to spend 10 minutes each day walking without carrying your phone. No music, no checking messages. Simply walk and know that you are walking. This can be in a park, on a sidewalk, or within the familiar space of your home. Those 10 minutes are not meant to burn energy, but to return energy to a balanced state. With consistent practice, subtle changes begin to appear. The body feels lighter. The mind feels less tense. Reactions slow down. We are no longer pulled along by an overly fast rhythm of life. Each step becomes a gentle reminder that we are alive, present, and not required to rush in order to prove anything. In Buddhism, peace does not come from controlling the body, but from understanding and caring for it properly. As we learn to move with awareness, body and mind gradually become one. From that harmony, a sense of calm is no longer distant, but an experience that can be touched each day. Lesson 6. Practicing gratitude as a daily return. When the body and mind begin to slow down, we gain the opportunity to look more deeply into the way we are living. Much of the suffering in life does not come from true lack, but from the constant feeling of not being enough. We may have a job, a place to return to, people by our side, yet the mind remains restless because it is always focused on what is missing. According to the Buddha's teachings, the root of inner stability lies in contentment. To know enough is to allow the mind to rest. Contentment does not mean giving up dreams or stopping growth. It means not letting the mind be endlessly pulled by comparison and craving. Without contentment, no matter how much we gain, we still feel empty. With contentment, even simple things become meaningful. The Buddha taught that contentment is the greatest wealth a person can possess. In daily life, the mind is often drawn toward what is not yet there. Not good enough. Not successful enough. Not recognized enough. These repeated thoughts cause us to forget what is already present. When we fail to recognize what we have, we live in a sense of lack even when life is not truly lacking. Practicing gratitude is a gentle way to bring the mind back to reality. Gratitude does not need to be grand. It does not require extraordinary circumstances. Sometimes it is simply gratitude for a peaceful morning, a nourishing meal, or a body that is still able to walk. When we pause to acknowledge these things, the mind naturally settles. Tension decreases. Resistance toward life softens. The small habit for this lesson is to write down one thing you are grateful for each day. This can be done at the end of the day, before sleep. It does not need to be long. Just one short sentence. What matters is not quantity, but sincerity. Each time we write it down, the mind is gently reminded that life is still supporting us in many quiet ways. With consistent practice, a cumulative effect begins to appear. The mind becomes kinder, less comparative, and less demanding. We no longer need life to be different in order to allow ourselves to be at peace. We learn to be at peace with what is already here. In the spirit of Buddhism, this is not resignation, but awakening. When we know enough, we are no longer bound by endless desire. From this, joy becomes simpler, deeper, and more sustainable in each day of living. Lesson 7. Resting without guilt. After learning how to know enough and rest in what is already present, the next step is allowing ourselves to rest. In modern society, busyness is often seen as a measure of worth. The busier someone is, the more useful they are considered. Those who stop are easily seen as lazy. Gradually, we learn to push ourselves to keep going, even when body and mind are already exhausted. According to the Buddha's teachings, rest is not an escape from responsibility. Rest is part of the practice. When the mind is constantly pulled by work, expectations, and pressure, it no longer has space to recover. The Buddha invited people to return to stillness, because within stillness, healing naturally occurs. We often feel guilty when we rest. Sitting still and doing nothing makes the mind uneasy. Yet that very uneasiness reveals how long we have lived under constant tension. Rest is not meant to create more productivity. It is meant to restore the body and mind's natural ability to balance themselves. When we allow ourselves to pause, layers of deep fatigue begin to be recognized and released. In Buddhism, silence is not emptiness. Silence is the space where we can truly hear ourselves. There are moments when silence is the most accurate answer. When the mind is no longer covered by external noise, it gradually becomes clearer and softer. The small habit for this lesson is to devote 15 minutes each day to stillness. This may be sitting quietly, breathing gently, or simply doing nothing at all. No phone, no screens, no effort to think positively, just being there. Those 15 minutes are not meant to escape life, but to return and touch the life that is present. With consistent practice, we come to realize something important. Rest does not make us weaker, it makes us deeper. When body and mind are rested properly, we return to life with fuller presence. Our reactions slow down. Our listening improves. We no longer need to strain ourselves to prove our value. In the spirit of Buddhism, peace does not come from doing more, but from knowing when to stop. When we learn to rest without carrying guilt, we grant ourselves the right to heal. From that healing, life energy is restored, and the path of practice becomes lighter each day in deep awareness. Lesson 8. Giving gently without losing yourself. When the body and mind have been nourished through awareness, contentment, and proper rest, a natural wish to give begins to arise within us. Giving is a very beautiful human tendency, but without understanding, giving can become a silent form of sacrifice that gradually drains us. According to the Buddha's teachings, compassion always walks together with wisdom. Giving is not losing oneself, but sharing from a place of inner fullness. Many people are accustomed to giving through strain. They help others while they themselves are exhausted. They speak kindly while their hearts still carry wounds. Over time, this kind of giving no longer brings joy and instead turns into obligation. Compassion becomes mixed with the desire to be recognized, to be loved, or to be seen as a good person. The Buddha did not encourage forms of giving that make the heart heavier. In Buddhism, true compassion begins with understanding oneself. When we know how to care for body and mind and recognize our own limits, giving becomes natural and light. We do not give out of fear of rejection. We do not give to fill an inner emptiness. We give because the heart is calm enough to share. When we light a lamp for others, the path we walk is also illuminated. Giving is not only about money or material things. Sometimes a full presence, a non-judgmental listening, or a small act of kindness is enough to make a difference. When we give from awareness, we do not expect anything in return. Yet it is precisely this absence of expectation that brings a deep sense of fullness. The small habit for this lesson is to perform one act of kindness each day, no matter how small. It may be yielding the way, sending a thoughtful message, or offering a gentle smile to someone who looks tired. There is no need for a grand plan. Simply notice and respond with sincerity. Each such action is a seed of compassion planted in daily life. With consistent practice, we realize that giving does not take energy away from us, but allows energy to flow. The heart becomes softer, relationships become lighter. We no longer feel used or forgotten. We give in freedom. In the spirit of Buddhism, this is giving guided by wisdom. When compassion is illuminated by understanding, both the giver and the receiver are nourished. From this, life becomes more harmonious and warmer with each passing day. Lesson 9. Listening with full presence. After learning how to give gently without losing ourselves, we begin to look more deeply at how we connect with others. In daily life, many conversations take place, yet very little true listening happens. We listen in order to react, to defend our viewpoints, or to wait for our turn to speak. In the spirit of Buddhism, listening is not meant to fix others, but to understand and be present with them. Listening with full presence is a practice of mindfulness and right speech. When we truly listen, we put down the need to prove ourselves right. We set aside familiar judgments. We do not rush to give advice. We simply open our heart to receive. In that space, the other person feels safe, and that feeling of safety itself is already a form of healing. Listening with the heart does not mean agreeing with everything that is said. It simply means allowing the other person to be who they are in that moment. When we do not try to correct or reshape them, listening becomes lighter. The Buddha taught that both speech and silence carry power. At times, mindful silence is far more valuable than many words of advice. When someone is truly listened to, they are given the chance to touch deeper emotions within. Many forms of suffering do not need to be solved immediately. They only need to be seen and heard. When there is someone present deeply enough to listen, the weight in the heart naturally begins to lift. For this reason, deep listening is considered a very practical expression of compassion. The small habit for this lesson is to offer full listening to at least one person each day. It may be a family member, a colleague, or a friend who needs to share. During that time, there is no phone, no interruption, no preparing a response in advance. There is only listening and breathing together with their story. With consistent practice, we realize that change does not happen only for others, but within ourselves as well. We become calmer, less reactive, and less drawn into the emotions of others. We begin to understand that intervention is not always necessary. Sometimes, quiet presence is enough. In the spirit of Buddhism, deep listening is the path that leads to understanding. Understanding gives rise to compassion. When we listen with full presence, we are practicing healing for both sides. From there, relationships become more genuine, and inner life grows softer and more peaceful with each passing day. Lesson 10. Trusting the path and learning patience. After moving through practices of body, mind, and relationship, we arrive at one of the most important lessons on the path of transformation: learning to trust and to be patient. Many people begin practice hoping to see quick results. They want peace immediately. They want change right away. They want life to become different in a short time. But according to the Buddha's teachings, all things move according to cause, condition, and result. No transformation happens outside of this law. In nature, no seed sprouts the moment it is planted. A seed needs soil, water, light, and time. If we dig it up every day to check on it, it will never grow. Inner life is the same. Each mindful habit is a seed. When planted consistently, that seed needs time to take root and mature. Impatience only creates more tension. Buddhism does not encourage forcing oneself. The Buddha taught people to understand and move in harmony with the natural process of life. When we understand that every action is a cause, we no longer rush to demand results. We simply take care of the cause. When the cause is sufficient, the result arrives at the appropriate time. Much suffering arises from comparing our progress with others. Seeing others change quickly, we judge ourselves as slow. Yet each person has different foundations, different conditions, and a different rhythm. A lotus cannot bloom without mud, and each lotus blooms in its own time. Trusting the path does not mean being passive. Trust means continuing to walk even when results are not yet visible. It means not giving up when progress feels slow. It means allowing ourselves to learn from falling and starting again. When we understand that mud is part of the flower, we no longer reject the difficult stages of life. The small habit for this lesson is to gently remind yourself each day with a simple sentence: I'm allowed to grow slowly. That reminder helps the breath soften. It reminds us that we do not need to become someone else immediately. We only need to keep caring for what is already here. With consistent practice, we begin to live more in harmony with ourselves. We stop forcing transformation to happen according to personal desire. We respect the rhythm of body and mind. In the spirit of Buddhism, patience is not endurance, but deep understanding. When we understand that everything needs time, we live more peacefully, more steadily, and more lightly on the long path of awareness and healing. We have just walked through 10 small habits, but there is no need to carry them all. The path of transformation does not require perfect memory. It asks for genuine presence. Right now, choose just one thing you can practice today. A single mindful breath, a slower step, or 1 minute of deep listening. One small thing is enough to begin changing direction. The Buddha taught that peace does not come from outside. Do not search for it in circumstances, in people, or in the future. Peace arises from how we live with what is already here. When small habits are nurtured each day, they quietly reshape our inner life. Not loudly, not forcefully, but steadily. If something here has touched you, Leave a comment with the words "I choose small daily peace." This is not a grand promise, but a gentle reminder to yourself. Stay with this channel so we can continue practicing slowly together each day in deep and lasting awareness.